So you just bought Silent Hill and you thought, oh, this is all this is gonna give me in graphics, but no, as you can see, there's a difference even in the title screen. Hardware Lumen is better than software Lumen in like every way, and software Lumen is taking like 80% of the performance that hardware Lumen is gonna give you, while looking like much duller, much weaker in like, look at the bike reflection in Lumen, they look blurry. With hardware ray tracing Lumen, it actually, the wheel looks exactly like it should be, and in this scene it looks like it's washed out a little bit. But with hardware ray tracing, the shadows are like more punchier, more darker. Every leaf has its own shadow. The lighting, the god rays, also with the volumetric fogs, and in this scene as well, it looks also washed out. And then when you turn on hardware ray tracing, it's a different story. The light and how it reacts to like metal, how it reacts to the roofing, how it reacts to the wood, how it reacts to the windows is totally different. And like the performance, yeah, it takes the hit. And as you can see, the pipe right here looks shiny, looks like a pipe, like a metal pipe. And in Lumen, nothing. With hardware ray tracing, as you can see, it looks like a shiny and reflects the character back to you. And in this scene, as you can see with the software Lumen, those puddles, they look like they have like dull reflections, but with hardware ray tracing, they look accurate and they look sharper reflections. And like the whole image is like gets like a whole, like a good treatment. So right now, that was just a recording of me. Right now, let's go. This is the RTX 4090, and if you have like any GPU above a 60 GPU, of course, because as I said in my previous videos, every GPU that has a 60 to it is not a ray tracing GPU, and you shouldn't really be playing ray tracing titles when turning on ray tracing or like path tracing in those games. So this is 4090, and you can use this even if you have a 60 Ti or like a 9070 or 9060. It doesn't really matter if you want to sacrifice the performance, but this is like another level of graphical fidelity that is unlocked just by turning on hardware ray tracing. But how do you even get this realistic hardware ray tracing for this game? So I'm gonna leave a link. You're gonna download this text file, this config settings. You're gonna click on it, open it, and if you hate VSync, you're only gonna open it if you hate VSync, because I hate VSync. You're gonna look for VSync right here. You're gonna find the first one right now is gonna be like 1. You're gonna turn it to 0, and then you're gonna be like another 1. You're gonna turn it to 0, and you're gonna save the file, because right now I already have the file saved. And then you're gonna go to local app data. If you don't know how to find this, just go to start menu and then type this and click enter. It's gonna give you to local app data and look for SHF, which is Silent Hill F, saved, config, Windows, and you just drag this one and put it inside Windows, and you're done. And as you can see right now, this is set to, let me just zoom in on it right there. This is 4K to 4K. This is DLAA, and because I'm using upscaler just because, again, I am locked out of TAA. As you can see, there is no TAA. There's only FSR, TSR, and DLSS. So I did an override of like DLSS quality to be DLAA, and then balance to be DLSS quality, and then performance is gonna stay the same, because I don't really care about DLSS balanced. It's either go big or go home. This is all I'm gonna say right now. So right now, as you can see, this is with DLAA. It's giving me 50 kind of FPS, like 54, 55. It's using 13 gigabytes of VRAM. Yes, this mod has a VRAM increase, because it's actually using real accurate ray tracing lights. So, and I'm gonna need to use my controller, which I don't know where I put. Oh, right in front of me. All right, so let's just use the controller, and let's use some healings. And as you can see right now, I still using 13 gigabytes of VRAM. The game is, the game is playing good. Even the DLAA, the game is playing good. It's close to 60, but I would say it's like 25 to like 30% slower than the 5090. So the 5090 would have easily achieved like 70 FPS in this, like 80 FPS, but this one is only 50 FPS, and it drops to like high 40s. But it's also, again, who plays in native resolution anymore? If you want to play, go to the settings and choose DLSS. That's the only DLSS quality which is balanced in my situation right here. DLSS is gonna boost you, as you can see, from 54 to 83, as you can see right now, and the 1% lows are in the 60s, which are not it's not very bad. Like they're like right next to like 20 FPS less, but still above 60 FPS. So, and one more thing, I want to tell you to do. Like, if you hate motion blur, then you're gonna hate me for saying this. You're gonna have to turn motion blur for this game, because the shader compilation steps that happen within the game, they don't stutter, but they have a weird like flicker situation going on. So it's like sometimes it turns it unplayable, and especially when you're fighting monsters. So if you want to like a smooth gameplay without, you have to turn on motion blur. They have to fix it. They did not address it because the game does not really stutter, does not really like there's no performance drops, like FPS drops or like freezes in this game. So they did not really bother to fix any performance issues. But that one issue with motion blur off, it's actually breaking immersion, as I said in my previous video, and you're gonna have to turn on, you know, motion blur if you want to play the game without any interruptions. So right now, as you can see, the DLSS quality gave me a pretty big boost. So what if I go, let me just use my mouse for this, I go all the way to DLSS Performance on the RTX 4090. I was gonna say 5090, but this is a 4090, and right now, as you can see, it's 108 FPS. So this is like within the inside of the town area. This is like the least intensive kind of. I forgot to actually remove the 30 FPS cap in this video for this GPU, but hey, it's okay. All right, I'm just gonna have to run away and dodge and keep dodging. And the thing that I hate about this game is just because when you dodge, there's a big window when you're just freezing in place after a dodge. So yeah, I'm gonna have to stop right here so I can recover my stamina and heal up a little bit again. And yeah. So what about in a vegetation heavy area? As you can see right now, it was like 110, 105 FPS within the town walls, because the town is not really that intensive. The one thing that is intensive on the GPU and tax and very expensive is the vegetation. And this game is pretty lush with vegetation. It's like it has a lot. This is why I said it reminds me of like Alan Wake, with its vegetation areas, with its like forest areas and like vegetation heavy areas in general. And as you can see, they are really affecting the performance. It dropped from all the way from like 105, 110 to 75, 74 right now. The 1% lows are pretty good. Like they're still in the 60s with DLSS Performance. But yeah, this game has some heavy vegetation area. And also because every leaf of those have hardware ray tracing right now. It's like hardware Lumen is, I would say, like 80% on the way to being like full path tracing without actually being full path tracing, because it has very accurate light bounces and shadows and stuff like that. So it is actually taxing, but it's still not as taxing as path tracing, because path tracing brings this GPU to like 18 FPS or 20 FPS. This game only gets like in the low 30s. It doesn't really drop from 30 FPS when using native resolution in these spots. What about a darker area? As you can see, a darker area is a little bit less intensive than in like within lighter areas, but it's still not going back to that 100 FPS that I had before, and it's still in the 80s and 90s, which is, you know, still playable, because if you turn on frame generation, it's gonna be pretty good. Yeah, the game's like it becomes pretty intensive on the GPU because of the hardware Lumen. And hardware Lumen is pretty good. And as I said, like as long as it's in the good hands of good developers, it's pretty okay looking, and it's pretty okay performing. You know what I mean? So yeah, let's go back to a more lighter area. Okay, so right now, again, with within the walls of the city or the town, as you can see right here, there's like a lot of reflections. As you can see with hardware Lumen, this silverware looks pretty shiny. You cannot get this stuff with just Lumen software. Yeah, I know that this is like some small stuff that you're not gonna be like looking at all the time, but it also adds to immersion. And as you can see, these puddles, they have like great reflections. Like you're not gonna be getting this with software Lumen, and software Lumen takes like probably like 80 to 90% of the performance anyway, so why not just enable hardware Lumen? Yeah, there's a performance hit, like there's a 10% or like 15% performance hit, but as you can see with this, I'm gonna try to include like some overlay of another like software Lumen, and these reflections are like absent, and these reflections, they do add up in like in the immersion of the game. So let's try and enable frame generation, right? I have like 100 FPS, and then again, the whole game is not going to be within the most intensive areas. The whole game is going to be within the less intensive areas, actually. So this is actually the representative of what the game is going to be in your system. So as you can see right now, with frame generation, it only gave me like a 50% increase. So yeah, it's like dropped it to 70, and then it increased it to 150. So from 75 FPS 250 FPS, which is pretty good. I'm playing right now with the controller, and like the input lag is like not noticeable. Again, I have more than 60 FPS, and the frame generation effect, it goes away with the controller. So, and it's still using a lot of gigabytes of VRAM as well. So if you have like a 10 gigabyte VRAM video card, it's not gonna be doing this kind of hardware Lumen ray tracing. And I'm gonna say this is looking like just path tracing, but not all the way there, because hardware Lumen is pretty good, but it's not as good as path tracing. Okay, so how about 1440p? This is 1440p native resolution. Let me just go through the settings, options, graphics. As you can see, 1440p is native resolution, because right here down here there's no DLSS. Again, I have my DLSS quality is native resolution, is DLAA actually, which is a little bit better than the native resolution, but it's native resolution plus plus, I would call it. And can it handle? Yes, of course. In native resolution 1440p, it can do more than 70. It's this area is as intensive as actually the first initial area, because it's still outside and with the vegetation and whatnot. But as soon as I go inside the school, it's gonna probably increase FPS. So, well, yeah, as you can see, it's 90 FPS right now, and most of the time you're gonna be spending, it's gonna be spending your time in inside areas and inside town walls. And as you can see right now, the game is playing pretty good, and it's probably gonna get even better. And it's using 8.5 gigabytes of VRAM. So if you have an 8 gigabytes VRAM GPU, you can use 1440p, but with upscaling. Okay, if you want to, use the RT hardware ray tracing mod, but I wouldn't really do 1440p with 8 gigabyte GPUs in any game recently. And as you can see, these leaves also affect performance, because it's like vegetation inside. Okay, this is why it's affecting performance. It's just because it's literally vegetation, and these veins and vines and whatever they are, bloody things, they do affect performance, because they're the same as vegetation, but inside the school instead of outside. Okay, and as you can see, this is the initial starting area of the game, and it is the most intensive area of the whole game. Okay, nothing beats it when it comes to the performance. It beats the GPU to its fucking knees. All right. So as you can see, it's dropping a little bit low, 70 FPS. But yeah, it is pretty intensive. This area of the starting area, the initial starting area of the game, is pretty intensive. So let's go and use DLSS upscaling. We're gonna use quality upscaling, which is balanced in my situation right here, and let's put it right there. As you can see, it's 100 FPS from 60 FPS, which is pretty good at 1440p. I wouldn't, with this GPU, I wouldn't really play 1440p. I would only play 4K. But if you have a 4090 and only a 1440p screen, then you're not gonna be playing 4K on a 1440p screen. You can if you use DSR, but you're just gonna be seeing 1440p pixels. You're not gonna be seeing 4K pixels on your screen. And if you happen to have that, then this is how it performs. It performs pretty good if you use quality upscaling. And because this game is pretty GPU heavy, it's it's not gonna bottleneck your GPU or anything like that. As you can see, it's like most of the time it says GPU limited, because sometimes it drops. So like the CPU frame time spikes, and it triggers a CPU limited area, scenario, not area, scenario. And yeah, but it's, as you can see, it's like all the time GPU limited. Let me just skip this. Now it says CPU limited because it's the engine of the game is actually blocking the game from having more than 30 FPS. So let's go and use DLSS Performance, right? I should probably go back again to the initial area where it's going to be in graphics, and nope, graphics, and all the way down here, DLSS Performance, and go back. And as you can see, it's 150 FPS without even frame generation. With 1440p, you're not going to be needing frame generation at all. And look at this, like this, especially this scene of the game, like that roof over there. Let me just zoom at it if I can. That roof over there and that roof on top of it again, they react pretty good to the hardware Lumen. Like, it's shiny, it actually reacts how it would react in real life. And also the wood right there with the light bulb, it's actually reacting how it would react in real life. Also ray tracing, again, ray tracing is just the mathematical calculation of how rate of light behaves in real life, but translated into games, or like algorithms for games. But it's still how light actually reacts. It's like a simulation of light. It's actually literally just a simulation of real life light in games. That's all of it. And shadows, and how it bounces, and how it diffuses, and how it, how it actually behaves in real life, but translated into a game scenario. Okay, this is another intensive area, which are the rice fields. I think this is rice. I might be wrong, I don't know. This is another intensive area with DLSS Performance. I only get 120 FPS instead of 150 FPS on 1440p. But again, we have frame generation for that. Let's activate frame generation with DLSS Performance first. And you can see it's 200 FPS, which is pretty fucking overkill. It's not really necessary to have 200 Oh shit. That was pretty accurate of my part. And not because I played the game before, but as you can see, I forgot about it anyway. So it did catch me by surprise. So let's drop it to DLSS Quality, actually, because DLSS Performance is too aggressive. Not equipment. Go to here, graphics, and drop it to DLSS Quality. Back, well, DLSS Quality is balanced for my situation. And let's go back into the game. As you can see, it's still 170 FPS looking this way, and then probably looking at the rice field is gonna be like, wait, no, it's not really way less. It's pretty good. I mean, it's still 160 FPS, close to 70, which is pretty good as well. Like, not bad. I mean, you don't need it. 120 FPS is plenty for this game. You don't really need the 200 FPS. But if you want it, if you need to have like 120, like 240 FPS, if you have like a monitor that's like 240 hertz, then hey, 1440p is your way, and it's gonna be good. Oh, what is going on? Doctor, open the door. This door is open. What is this? Is the doctor making these things? No, it's not. It's not the doctor. Let's get out of here. This looks horrible. Okay, now at 1080p, this is native quality, and it's 120 without any upscaling. Again, this is what we got with 4K DLSS Performance, and actually, it's like DLSS Performance is literally just 1080p upscale to 4K, but hey, it's gonna be the same thing. Obviously, it's gonna be the same thing. But hey, again, let's try it. If you have like a 1080p screen or something, and 130 FPS, 120 FPS on native is good. But again, who plays native resolution anymore? Like, don't be those guys of like, oh, what is native resolution? I don't really like blurry DLSS. DLSS is not blurry. DLSS is actually better than native resolution at this moment. Also in performance setting. In the performance setting is still greater than just native resolution. Sometimes though. Okay, let's turn up DLSS quality. It's gonna be balanced in my situation. And let's see what kind of well, 140 FPS. It's not really a big uplift from 120 FPS. But it's an uplift nonetheless. And as you can see, these GPUs actually, I'm gonna explain something to you. The 4090 and the 5090, they suck ass at 1080p. As you can see, like that wasn't a big improvement, like from 118 FPS, 119 FPS, 140. Like I got like from 60 to 100 FPS, 40 FPS uplift, just enabling DLSS quality on 4K. So it doesn't make sense. But I'm gonna explain it to you. 4090 and 5090 have so many fucking cores, CUDA cores, that the game at 1080p is not feeding too much data to the GPU core. And now I can see that monster. It's not feeding too much data to the GPU core. As you can see, it's only using 317, 315. It says 100% GPU utilized, but it's not really. The cores are not really going to maximum speed, are not going to maximum power draw. They're just, you know, chilling. They're using less power because, and again, also there's like a big overhead for GPU, for Nvidia GPUs. So, yeah, they suck ass at 1080p. 1440p is still good. 4K also is still pretty good, but 1080p is just not good. And now I knew that she's gonna come out of that side. And that's why it only gave me like 10 FPS right now, if we're gonna count like 118 or 130 something right now. And it's still 100% utilization. So that's why, like if you take like a 9070, probably like a 9070 XT from AMD, it's gonna beat Nvidia at 1080p. 4090. Or like 100, like the RX 7900 XTX, it's gonna beat Nvidia at 1080p. They do it in all games, with the 4090. But 4090 and 1440p and up, it beats AMD's any GPU's ass any day of the week. So that's the situation. So right now, let's use actually frame generation because DLSS quality is enough because it's 720p upscaled to 1080p as you can see right down here. And let's use frame generation instead of dropping it to DLSS performance, although DLSS performance is gonna give you like exactly the same kind of visuals. Sometimes it enhances, sometimes it doesn't enhance. And as you can see right now, it's like 200 FPS. This is like just, you know, it's welcome improvement. 200 FPS. Again, I'm not saying performance, I'm saying FPS because frame generation does not give you performance, it just gives you more FPS. That's it. And yeah, I mean the game doesn't need 200 FPS. It doesn't. It just doesn't. Like 90 FPS is the, I would say 90 FPS is the minimum because you gotta be on your toes with this game. 60 FPS I would say is the minimum. It's like because the 60 FPS right now is the minimum for any game to achieve. But again, this game does achieve that on 4K, and you don't need more than that. 90 is okay. 120 is like plenty. More than that, just overkill. If you have like 144, yeah, I know you get like you got like 165 hertz screen or like a 240 hertz screen. You want to fill that up, but again, you don't really need to. You don't really need to because with these games, you're not gonna win games with like single player games, and it's just like a waste, and that's it. Sure, it's welcome FPS, but if it's not there, then it's okay. But if it's there, it's good too. Okay, now some ridiculous resolutions, which is 6K. This is with DLSS quality actually. Let me just put DLSS quality right now, and as you can see, it's 46 FPS. Now, right now, it's like with 4K upscaled to 6K, and it's still very intensive, more intensive than 4K native actually. And it's not really a good experience. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's like 40 FPS. Again, I am playing with a controller, and it's acceptable to a limit, but it's still not that because it's a PC. It's not a console. If it was a console, yeah, sure, 30 FPS, I would be, I would stomach it. But this is not a console. And yeah, let's go and enable DLSS performance. Actually, let's go into the game. As you can see, it was 6K, and this is DLSS balance, which is DLSS quality for me, and DLSS performance is still DLSS performance. And even with DLSS performance, it's not giving me 60 FPS, although it was in the 40s with DLSS quality. DLSS performance is not any better. I mean, like 10 FPS more or so, and it's using less VRAM from like 16 to now like 14.9, which is again 15, another way to say 15 gigabytes of VRAM, and it's using heck of a lot of power. Right now it is I wouldn't say that this GPU can do 6K in this game. Like, this GPU is time for doing like 8K and 6K in newer games, and actually having DLSS be giving it the same kind of performance as with the native 4K. If you use DLSS quality on 6K, or like if you give it DLSS performance, it's gonna give you like the native performance of DLSS of 1440p with DLSS performance on 6K. But no, with DLSS performance, I got like more than 120 FPS in this scene on 4K, but now it's like 60 FPS. I mean, on 1440p, not with DLSS performance. And now even with DLSS performance on 6K, which is actually 1440p. Let me just zoom in because it's too small. Where's the zoom button? It's right here. If you can see, it's in actually close to 1440p. Still a little bit more than 1440p, but it's still close to 1440p. And upscale to 6K, not giving me not even 80 FPS, let's say. When 1440p native gave me 120 FPS in this scene. So yeah, but this is a stupid resolution that I'm playing at. You shouldn't be doing this. This is ridiculous. Nobody should be playing at 6K or 8K in any GPU, because those are ridiculous, stupid resolutions. All right, so if you enjoyed the video and found it informative or entertaining, or both, press the like button. That helps me a lot. Subscribe to the channel. That helps me a lot as well. And see you in the next one. Have a good night.